Hi, this is Dawn, and I thought I would go ahead and share with you how I came about to start teaching information literacy using a zombie apocalypse. So I think we've all been there where we're teaching a course or one-shot instruction, or maybe we're teaching information literacy for a semester or a quarter, and sometimes students are just uninspired by the subject matter. That's where I found myself. I was teaching a credit-bearing quarter-long course in information literacy for a for-profit institution, and it meant one night a week for 3 hours. And my students were mostly older adults who worked full-time jobs during the day and came and attended my course that one night a week. A lot of them were working mothers who had kids at home, and a lot of them had never even been in college before, so the entire process was very new to them. They were motivated to learn, certainly. Getting a better education to get a better job or to get a job was very important to them, but the idea of research was very foreign. In fact, research was so foreign that they weren't even quite sure why they were even being required to learn about it. They didn't see how it connected to anything they might need to do at their jobs or in their real lives. The first quarter I taught it, they were allowed to pick their own topics, and this was pretty horrible for the students and for me. They picked topics that were way too broad, topics that they had no real interest in, and they couldn't make any of those connections between what they were learning in the classroom and the real world that surrounded them. Despite conversations I would have about picking topics they were passionate about, picking topics that had something to do with their careers, it just wasn't clicking. And after 3 quarters of this, I was sort of desperate to find a way to not only jazz up the class, but to get the students to really understand that the research process in general really is applicable to other things that they're going to do with their lives. I love zombies. I read a lot of zombie literature, watch a lot of zombie movies, and I had just finished reading this young adult book by Carrie Ryan called The Forest of Hands and Teeth, and it's about a zombie apocalypse. And it got me thinking about how we might approach learning the research process and learning about information in general in a new way, in an exciting way, and to somehow make those connections between the process and going about our lives in general. So I decided to go ahead and structure the class around a fictitious Z-Day, Zombie Invasion Day, whereby the President of the United States had called upon those survivors, which my class was a group of survivors, to put together documentation that could save the human race. And so therefore research became a matter of life and death, not only for themselves, but for other people that they were surrounded by. So that was their other classmates, their colony, if you will, of people who had certain expertise that were going to help ensure that the human race went on. My class formed the Brain Trust, and we were able to start having conversations about what information might look like if a zombie invasion happened, if we found ourselves in a post-apocalyptic world, what information might be important for us to stay alive. So the first order of business was to revamp the research topics, and I went about doing this by looking at the different career paths at this particular institution. There was medical, business, leadership, and then I also tossed in some other interesting topics that students really were struggling to find something they were interested in. So topics became stuff like emergency management or crowd control, how to handle a mob, or how to have clean water, or using star navigation if you were without GPS. So these were real world issues that they could research, and it would be applicable to struggles we would find ourselves in if a natural disaster really did happen. The other thing I did differently is I allowed them to have conversations with each other, to do the buddy system, to research together with a partner, because research doesn't happen in a bubble, and I wanted them to be able to form strong research partnerships just like you would in real life in a real work setting. Students really liked this idea a lot, and the topics were much better researched, and the papers were much better as well. I'm definitely glad I took the chance and decided to use zombies for my classroom, and my course evaluations proved also that students loved it as well.